Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Nandim Sezane. I am part of the C19 Food Working Group. Welcome to our bi-weekly engagements. This week, we are going to be talking about solidarity, sustainability, lessons from soup kitchens, and feeding schemes. We have three amazing speakers who are doing work in their communities. So we do hope that you will all enjoy the conversation we're having. We will start off with Noli Bulana from Vrygrond United for Change. And Nolu, I will ask you to introduce yourself as, you know, just a little bit about yourself as well as the work that you're doing. And we will give you about 7 minutes to speak. And if people have questions, please feel free to put the questions into the chat box and we will try to look out for them. Or else also please keep them till after all three speakers have spoken, at which point we will take questions, and we hope that other people who may be doing similar work can share their experiences too. And we will touch on a bit about how community kitchens can contribute to local economies by also becoming community restaurants, speaking to some of the experiences from South America. We're not going to focus too much on that work, but we will speak to some of that. Just so everybody knows, we are recording the session because we do feel it's important to be able to share all the learnings that we get on this session within the broader coalition and with other communities who are doing similar work in their communities responding. Can I please ask that everybody, if you are not speaking, please make sure that your mic is muted. Let me know if you want to talk. If you are unable to raise your hand, there's a raise hand feature. If you are unable to find it, please type into the chat box that you would like to say something. That way we do know that you do want to speak without interrupting people who are speaking. Yeah, and so please, we hope that you will enjoy today's session. Nolu, I will give over to you. And then, yeah, so, and then I'll introduce the next speaker after Nolu.
Hi everyone, this is Nolu from Vrygrond United for Change.
Sorry, Nolu, you're a bit far, and maybe I need to raise my volume. Can everybody hear Nolu perfectly? Okay, go ahead, Nolu.
Okay, cool. Hi again, it's Nolu Babalo Bulana from Vrygrond United for Change in the Western Cape. We are a COVID-19 movement, actually we were, to start community kitchens that will serve nutritional food that will boost the immune. We started at the beginning of lockdown and it's been continuing even now. So at first we started to work with kitchens, food, glorious food, and then we did a bit of dignity packs, which was for the ladies, the women, and the kids. We would then supply dignity packs for them because that was also a need. Most of them had to work to be able to buy a basic pad, and unfortunately, we were privileged enough to be able to do dignity packs. And then another thing we had started with also in the middle of lockdown was a learnership opportunity, which was an entrepreneur learnership with Falls Bay College. And they offered a free course for 16 of the people that we work with. And yeah, that's been going on. But I'll start with food. I'll go back to food again. We serve about 14,000 meals per week. It's 14 kitchens, or 200 meals per day. How we get our food and most stuff is that we were lucky enough to get a donation from Jeremy Loops, who is an artist, and he started something called the Big Food Drive. It gives us a lot of fresh food and vegetables coming from all over Cape Town, and they will give us vegetables every week, a truckload of vegetables. Then we also got, we are in partnership with Food Flow, which is also another movement that works with small scale farmers, and they will supply us with also veggies and proteins like fish and chicken to cook for the kitchen. And they also get it from various small scale farmers who used to actually supply restaurants with their products and stuff. So with the lockdown and everything, the small scale farmers were also losing out a lot. So we worked out a partnership with them. We will buy certain produce from them, and then to make sure that they could also keep on being able to make income and continue. And then also our kitchens were fully stocked with fresh produce and proteins. And then during the course of our partnerships and everything, we then also got a donation from SA Harvest. They have been supplying us with basic stuff like rice, cooking oil, and maize meal. Every week we'll get bags of rice, bags of oil, and maize meal that will also go to the kitchens. And then other donations that we've got were individual donation from the Muizenberg Can, the people around us, the people in our networks. And then we were so lucky, and I mean, our work was so great that even many people saw from abroad and asked how can they help us and all that. So we got a grant from Tekano fellows, health fellows. They then gave us a small grant for over 4 months to provide fresh supply with Food Flow, dry goods, the big pots to cook, because it's hard to cook with the small pots. People will have to like literally start, the kitchen mobilizers will have to wake up at 8, start preparing from 10, and dish up around 1 because they had to use small pots and they have to take over buckets. So then we got the big pots, we got the dignity packs from that grant. We actually made a lot, and then we also got at the beginning we also got a donation from Just Associates, of which they've been working out very much fine. But we used a bulk of that amount since we're kind of established with food on dignity packs and everything else. And then also just to explain a bit and how the background of the kitchens and how it started was Frejon started with myself and Asanda, who couldn't make it to this call, and then we went around and we wanted to do food parcels at first, but then we decided instead of that we need to find the vulnerable households that will really need food parcels and everything. And then when we did the deeper mapping of Frejon area and seeing what's there, what's needed, and what we think will be the best solution, then we found that food parcels would actually not work out, because then who's going to get and who's not going to get. So then we said, okay, let us unite all the community leaders or the people that we see have been active in the community, to bring them all together and say, guys, this is what we faced with, and this is our worry. And we're thinking of having these community kitchens, and we know a lot of people don't like soup kitchens. They're like, oh no, the soup is watered or whatever. Then we said we want community kitchens where it will really just cook. You will cook what you will be able to eat, what you cook in your own house. And then people just started volunteering and said, okay, in my phase, in my street, I will cook, and this is my team. And it's been running like that. It's been really working out really well like that, and working out well. And then I think one of the things that now we kind of had to move in, because we're in level 2 and the donations obviously also are drying up a bit. We have started a garden bag movement because we do have a big issue around land. Who owns the land? What could we do in the land? Farming we wanted to do because we wanted sustainable living and independence for the kitchens, the people that were actually doing the thing. And we've been really working with them to try and find out what do they want to do beyond cooking, you know. So then we also had this, because of land, we started garden bags. So in some kitchens they have garden bags. It's like urban farming where they get seeds and soil and we supply them with those, and then we would they would then go to them and then they'll plant and they'll use whatever it is for the kitchens and all that they will need for the kitchens, and just kind of round it up. I hope I'm still within my time. Yeah, I
Okay.
guess this so far, yeah, what we've done.
Okay. If you're finished, that's fine. We'll go on to the next speaker, but you have like another minute.
Oh no, I'm finished. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks, Nolu. Next up, we have Cora. Cora is, so it's Cora from Jobs of Faith in Yeovil. And Cora will share with us their experiences in establishing a food kitchen and the work that they are doing in Yeovil. Thanks.
Hi, everyone. My name is Cora. I'm the one who is the founder of Jobs of Faith. I stay in Yeovil. And this organization, I opened it, it was last year, in November, 17 November. As you can know that it's difficult to have a dream, yet you don't have facilities to use. When I started with a number of 20 people, but as you know that when people, they know that it's a feeding scheme, it keeps on multiplying every day. And now the challenge we will have is like, where are you going to get the food from? That's the most important challenge. So now I would like to say thank you to Checkers of Fourways and Checkers of Northgate. They are the people who are giving us food as well, which we're gonna distribute to other people like street people. And you know, like when you go and collect, you don't expect what you expect. Sometimes you get few, sometimes you get more. And those things are like cooked food. And as you are running a kitchen, you need to have like meal, potatoes, carrots, and other stuff which you're gonna just introduce your own recipe. Like in Yeovil, I've got a team of 8 people I'm working with for my kitchen. Like the challenge we have, like when you cook mushroom, other person gonna say, I don't eat mushroom. So it's a challenge. But now the challenge is of like, how are we going to have a decent place, like for us to introduce ourselves, like my, I've got a degree in horticulture, of which if I find a land, I'm gonna use it to grow all the organic food, everything I can make money out of it to try to help the community and to teach them. So that's why even in my log, I've put Africa, because I'm trying to unite everyone into the organization. I don't say because I'm a foreigner or I'm a South African, no. I just work with everyone. So now what we do is like, we are cooking once a week. Then we call our most recipes called the Mama recipe. Like yesterday, we were doing Mama recipe. In a day, we are feeding like 300 to 400 people. So now you have to string yourself to try to push things so that all the ingredients are there, because I don't have anyone who is like sponsoring that except Checkers. So Checkers can give us cooked food. But now we have got experience of like so many recipes. So when it's a cooked food, you cannot add any recipe out of it, but you have to use raw things like, if you, good example, potatoes, carrots, butternut. You can make butternut soup. You can make potato skin, what you call potato tartar. That's what we call it. We just keep on giving our kitchen recipes names so that when I say go and cook this, they know exactly what it is called by the name.
Cora, are you still with us, or have you concluded?
So now the challenge we are having like now, where we are running our kitchen, it's like under a crash. We have just asked to introduce ourselves so that people they know. And now, because we don't have donors who are like donating us like with the finance and the transport, I'm using mine, which I've just bought through landscaping. So now if like, checkers phones me, they call us so which means I have to run around popping from my pocket because I cannot ask the people I'm feeding to donate money for petrol. So it's the most challenge which I'm having, because whatever supplement I get from my landscaping business, I have to use it for petrol. I have to use it for other supplements which will be short, like to help the community. Like now I'm hoping, like I was representing Zimbabwe in a marathon. If I have something like facilities to use to train people, like football, running, netball, those things will help us to make our youth and other elders not to be addicted to the drugs. I'm trying by all means, teaching them how to use their hands, like besides going with all these recycles, I've got so many skilled things that I can make caps from the Coca-Cola cans. I can make handbags from all the plastic containers. I'm so creative. I can make baskets through Checkers plastics. So even shoes I can make, but I don't have my own place of like saying I can bring a group of people because I'm renting as well. So now my landlord cannot allow about 50 people to be gathering or 20 people to be gathering. So that's the most challenge which I'm having. So now I want to work with the youth so that they can grow up knowing they have got a potential energy in their lives. Because if I teach them soccer, like myself, I went to Canada. I'm here in South Africa. I was running for Liberty Life. So now I was brought because of sport. So it's not a matter of like when you have a degree, then you can make a living. You can make a living through what you have, your potential energy to neutralize with your hands. Like when you plant something, like myself, I can do the grafting of potatoes down, tomatoes up in the same plant. So all those things I want to share with the community. And hygiene as well goes, because like most of the people, when they eat, they just throw things in the streets. They don't know it's part of their health as well. So I'm trying by all means to convince the community so that they need to know wherever they will be standing, they need to be smart and protect themselves as well. And our elders, we don't want to leave them behind. We have got disabled people. They need to take responsibility of when they are crossing the roads, they need to help them. When they see an old person, they need to respect. So I'm trying to work, but it's not easy because we are different tribes. The way we grew up, we don't behave the same, but you need to have patience to what you do, because running a charity is like a soldier who has sacrificed to go to war, knowing that he's going to die for the nation, losing his life. Like now, I know one day
Hi, Cora. Cora, I'm going to come back to
Grow
you.
big, but like the ones to boost it so that people they.
No, it's fine. We can hear you now.
Okay. Okay, myself, I'm feeding at 49 Sounders in Yeovil. That's where my kitchen is.
So any other questions for Cora, please put them into the chat or keep them for the question and answer session. Next, we will be having Sabrina Lambers of Mission Vale Care Center in Port Elizabeth to share with us. Sabrina, the floor is yours. And then just for everyone to remember, after Sabrina speaks, there will be an opportunity to ask all three of our speakers questions and to make any other inputs about lessons that we can learn from soup kitchens and feeding schemes as we talk about sustainable solidarity in doing this work.
Hello, everybody. So yes, I'm from Mission Vale. The Mission Vale Care Center has existed for 32 years, and for 32 years we have been feeding people. So unlike the other two that seem to have popped up as COVID-19 occurred, it's a bit different for us. And we are not really a food kitchen, a soup kitchen. We are providing nutrition items to people, hoping to still keep the dignity of the provider and the family. So what happens is that we have about 600 families that get a weekly food parcel containing of tinned food, maize meal, sugar, tea bags, also soap to wash your body and soap to wash your laundry. So we have that for 600 families a week, and then we have about food for around about 700 people to come on a daily basis for bread and soup powder. All of those items we buy, meaning we have a lot of fundraising to do to get the funds together to actually finance that. And we get substituted by supermarkets, bakeries, some garden projects. We have our own community garden that brings in whatever we can harvest. And we also subscribe with Food Forward, which helps a lot. So we are not going every week to a supermarket, but we are subscribed to the Food Forward warehouse, where we once a month get quite a substantial amount of food. That helps a lot. And having done this for a very long time, the community is obviously very used to this. So in order to get away from just handing out things to people and kind of making people dependent to the care center, which is a big institution in our community, we have attached to the nutrition program a recycling program. So every person who gets something to eat brings something to recycle in return. And that we've done for quite a few years. And we're on the brink of actually extending that. And then COVID-19 happened, and we had to shut down the center and deliver food parcels to people. So we then started to deliver about 900 parcels a week with 3 bakkies throughout the community, which was very difficult because we have a database for the food parcels. And obviously many people that are not recipients of food parcels that come just for bread and soup powder that we don't have captured. So where to go? I think Noli said it was very difficult to determine who deserves and who doesn't deserve food. And we had that challenge as well, but we continued including school children that we usually have a feeding scheme for, and youth development children that we usually have a feeding scheme for. So it amounted to roughly 900 families. And after about 2 months into lockdown, we then opened the center again. Basically only for the nutrition program. So we had people coming to the center. We gave health education. We gave COVID-19 education, because we felt strongly that the people in the townships are not well educated. We were basically just locked up, and there was no time to tell people why. And if there was time, people used the wrong language. And lots of people did not understand, why should we socially distance? Why should we stay at home? But when it's grant day, everything is crowded. So in order to make sense of that, we used the queue to educate people as good as we could. And then we got a lot of additional funding, I must say. Like COVID-19 hit, and we got a big influx in donations. So we also increased what we gave to the people substantially. So now not only the people that had subscribed to a food parcel, or that were in the food parcel distribution list, but pretty much everybody could come and really get a lot of items that would go a long way, like fish oil, rice, beef stock, salt, whatever. That really is a good addition to what we usually would give to people. And now we have actually come to the point where the donations are getting slower, if I can say that, and a huge donation has come to an end. So we took this as an opportunity to say, instead of getting people frustrated, because now we're going back to the old system, let's take it as an opportunity to increase community capacitation. And we have just last week actually started by having conversations again in our food queue with people about what they're really good at, what they could do for themselves, explaining that, look, we're here to help you. But we can't continue handing out forever. So now it's a matter of, how can we help you help yourself? And we've done some inventory of what are people really good at and what do they like doing. So now the next step is grouping people together, bringing people together that have certain talents and are good at things that can benefit them in a certain way, especially when coming together. One of the initiatives that came on to help us is Farming God's Way. Farming God's Way is gonna run a project for food gardens within the communities. So the previous speaker was saying he doesn't have space. And I'm saying there's space because you have the people and the people have space. So I'm challenging the community that lives in RDP houses that you do have enough space to start farming in your own yard. And if you come together and you think it through properly, it makes sense, and you can actually start trading amongst each other, and you can reduce the need for money within your community with whatever you can plant, whatever what you can create, with services you can render to each other. Yeah, so that is our next step. I'm not sure about the time, but I'm also not sure what else should I say.
Thank you, Sabrina. So what I will start off with is there's a question for you from Nompumelelo Kubeka. That will be our first question. Nompumelelo is asking, how does one go about getting support from supermarkets? And then to everybody else on the call, please put up your hand or indicate how, if you can ask a question in the chat, and we will follow up. And then just to follow up on Nompumelele's question, Sabrina, Teresa Groenewald is asking if it is possible for you to share details for Farming God's Way. I'll let you answer those questions. And then I'll ask Stasa. I hope I'm saying your name correctly. I see your hand is up. And then after that, we will take the other questions in the chat. So Sabrina, you can go ahead and answer those 2 questions, and then we'll take Stasa's hand.
Okay, so the first question is, how do you get support from supermarkets? You go and ask. Okay, great. I hope you can hear me. What I said was, to get support from supermarkets, go and ask. Never be shy. Explain what you're intending to do and what you are doing. I think having an organization that is old, that is well known in the town we're living in, is really of great advantage to us. But still, as a small upcoming organization, never be shy to ask. Never get depressed by a no. Just continue hustling. And for Farming God's Way, I can gladly share contacts, but I think it makes sense to share them depending on where you are about. So I have a contact for PE. I know that there's countrywide and actually worldwide more contacts to that.
So maybe you can share the details with us, and yeah, and then we can, or like their website, so that people can just go into the website and find their details. And if there's a particular reference which might be helpful for people to contact, to partner with, and to work with, I think that may also be helpful. Stasa, go ahead.
Hi, good afternoon. This is Stasha from the South African Civil Society for Women, Adolescents and Children's Health. Please excuse the noise in the background. We have building. I wanted to ask the do's and what are the don'ts? What would you say, to all 3 speakers, in your experience, is the biggest lesson learned in what not to do in a feeding program or in a food voucher distribution program? I mean, I heard the issue around dependence, but what would you advise is the best way to run a successful feeding program, and what were your biggest lessons in the negative space? Thank you.
Thank you for that, Stasha. So I will let the presenters answer.
If I may answer that from my perspective.
Okay, go ahead.
The greatest lesson was giving out as much as possible, kind of thinking you're doing the right thing and learning that you are enabling people to consume their drugs. And
go ahead. I don't know if we've lost you, Sabrina.
yes,
There, we can hear you again.
May I speak? Can you hear me?
Yes, that's why I'm muted. Yeah, we can hear you.
Thank you. I was listening.
Okay, great. Okay, fantastic.
You are capable of something, because like as I'm saying right now, it's not easy that you please everyone. Even when with this COVID-19, like the spacing of people, put the mask, sanitize, wash your hands. People, they say, have you seen someone who is dead? So if you are a short-tempered, or if you don't have heart, all those things gonna make you drop your focus. So like what I'm saying now, please guys, let's not let the ladder fall. Let's keep on lifting the ladder so that the community will end up having these fruits we are having, because it's a blessing for you to run something and having a heart of forgiveness and to understand that this person who is coming in my life or in my way I need to convince that person. Because like now, drunken people, if they approach you, they're gonna approach you with a rude attitude. They can just come and grab something. They can insult you because you are giving them food. They think the government is donating a lot of money to just say keep
Nolu, you can go ahead.
Thank you. So I just wanted to clarify something on the previous last speaker who made, or the last presenter, something that she said about that people in the township were not much educated. I would actually like a bit of clarity, or just to understand what she meant by that.
Okay, great. I was busy typing my response to that. My experience is that the people that have not as much access to social media, to media in general, like in Mission Valley, lots of people don't have a TV or radio or a cell phone. So when lockdown happened, most of the information that went around went via media, obviously, and people were left behind. So people did not know what's happening. Suddenly police and army stand in front of you and tell you to go away or get arrested. And people did not have an opportunity to really understand what's happening. So that is what I mean with not being educated about the lockdown and about COVID-19. Because I'm, for myself, can say that most of the information I got was from social media that I have happily access to, unlike most of the people in Mission Valley where I work.
Sorry to everyone. If you had typed in a question, can I ask that you re-type it? Both Brittany and my computer crashed, so we have lost the chat and any questions which were in the chat. So we would really appreciate that. I see Stasha had a question for the first presenter. She mentioned mapping the community. Can you please share with us, Nolu, how you went about the mapping process? And then after you answer that question, Nolu, can we ask Bumi? I see you had your hand up. I don't know if you had the same or similar question because your hand has gone down.
Oh, should I go then? Or should Bumi go first?
No, go ahead, Nolu. After you, Bumi can ask her question.
Okay, cool. So how we did our mapping, we didn't want to use models that are used in other townships like Khayelitsha and other places. So then we went on the ground, since we've been on the ground from the beginning, and we went through all the phases that we have in our area, identified what the situation is, how everything works, what would be, I'll call it a hotspot place where people can get access to it, people can see, and it's very visible to everyone to see what's happening, and also where people can practice like social distancing, and it can be like done, everything can be done and dished in an orderly manner. And then we went to all these different phases, and from each phases we got street champions for each street to tell us, okay, this is the situation in this street, these are the families that we feel are vulnerable, and these are the families that we feel are really need. This is the number of people, minimum and maximum, that live in per household or in the street. Then we combine all that information. Then we made a detailed map of saying, okay, people, these are the community kitchens that are available at this place, that dish up at this time, at this phase. And then whoever would then call me or would need assistance, they'll just go to the map, see the address, they will go to the nearest one. And the reason we did that, or we had 14 kitchens, was because we really had to be honest and say, when the Defence Force comes to the townships or to the Cape Flats, they always use violence. They don't know how to communicate. They always come with violence and that scope and donor kind of thing. And we did not want our people to be then subjected to that and to see that. So then we opened each and every kitchen that was opened and that we started is closer to each phase and closer to people. And I think in each phase, the minimum kitchens that we have is like 3 kitchens in each phase, so that people as close to them and accessible without the scope and donor that they can be subjected to. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Nolu. I hope that answered the person who, Stasha. Then we have another question from Kanisa Manzini, and they have said it's to the speakers. So I think all the other speakers can also, so all the speakers, all 3 can answer. Thanks so much for sharing. What is your assessment of the need for food relief, however this translates in your context? Pre-COVID and during COVID, is there an assumption just by looking at funding drying up and relaxation of lockdown levels that food relief is not as necessary anymore? And then the other question is from Togo Madonko. For all the presenters, how far do they work with community leaders and organizers to provide safe space for a safe space to provide the food? So those are the 2 questions to the presenters. If the 3 presenters can put their hands up, and then I'll just take you in order to answer. Okay, I'm not seeing hands. Then I'll just be a bit random. Nolu, sorry, yeah, can you, yeah, Nolu, can you come back? Then Cora, then after Cora, then Sabrina, in that order.
Okay, what was the question?
Okay, so the one question is, how do you work with community? I'm just trying to scroll up. With community leaders community leaders and organizers to provide a safe space, to provide food, the food that you're providing. And the other question is, what is your assessment of the need for food relief, however this translates in your context, both from pre-COVID and during COVID? Is there an assumption just by looking at funding drying up and relaxation of lockdown levels that food relief is not as necessary anymore?
Okay, thank you. I'll answer the first question. So in Vrygrond, what we did was engage with the community leaders. We talked with them and said, this is the situation, this is the crisis that we're facing, and we know how community is. And then as community leaders, this is the idea that Asane and myself came up with. This is what we're willing to do. Then we proposed to them how we planned on doing this. And most community leaders, they were all in agreement, and then asked, what do you need from us? So then a community center run by the Vryheid Development Forum, then they gave us space to do distributions, meet up with the kitchen, explain our concept, what we are doing and how we want to do it. Because one thing that we all agreed on, we don't want the usual or the mandate that's always out there of people in township, they malnourished, they need food, or they're gonna die. That kind of I don't know, that storytelling, that's kind of yeah, the kind of narrative, we wanted to get away from that narrative. And our narrative was that we live in the township, we started this is how we want to push. We know this, we know our situations, and all we're pushing is to show how united we are, how we can work together. It is never about brown, black, or white, and just bring all of that. And yeah, I think communication has been really key to engaging with everyone. You talk and you get people, involve people, you involve people in the community to have a proper thing. We get truckloads of stuff, and we hear in other places where, oh, this truck of food got robbed or whatever, got looted, but by our place never has one truck been looted. Everyone knows in the community, if trucks are coming and they're getting lost, they know where to direct them. They have my contact details, they have our contact details, they know. So it's sort of a community thing that's just been working, and I think that's been mostly what's needed. They voice out how they would like to continue. And to get on to the second question was that at first when we started, obviously we wanted, it was just going to be a COVID-19 response, and we thought maybe it would be 3 months or 5 months and then that's it, because I'm a student, I still work. Asanda is also a person that's also busy and we're doing, and Avela is also a teacher and she's still busy. So even people that were coordinating also busy with their own stuff. So then we had to say, we had meetings and we talked with the kitchen, mobilized, and everyone in the community the same way we did in the beginning. I said, guys, we're on level 2, the economy is opening. What are we seeing about assessment that we've done, and checking up the numbers and the forms and seeing the people on the line? And most feedback was that they're very happy with the way in how we did the narrative of what we showed, of that accountability, that transparency we had with everyone that we worked with, the whole community. And then they expressed if we could then make this movement a legal entity and just move on and continue doing the way that we've been doing, because we really did help a lot compared to a lot of people that just come in, run programs, and then they're gone and then it's quiet, and I think we've also, the way we did, we kind of built trust between the people, through everyone. And I think it's been really great of how we did it. Everyone is included. We didn't have that thing that, no, I am from Malawi, I'm scared to go dish up there and all that. No, all our kitchens are being run by brown, black people, non-locals or foreigners, and it all works. We call ourselves a family of love. And I think now it's just moving forward is to, how do we stay then afloat? Because the numbers are still there, even though the economy is open. Before COVID-19, Vryheid had close about 70% unemployment rate. And most people will go to the dumping site to find ways, something they could sell to remake money to buy food, or if there's food that could still be used and then be able to feed their families. And now this kitchen came up and served nutritional food with everything and a plate, and then they press, can we not stop? Can we just continue? So I think now we're finding ways of continuing, finding ways to continue to be even beyond just food, finding ways to make our people independent, work, and to create their own sustainability. And I think the model that we've also come up is buying within the community. We have informal traders that sell everything and then buy from them to make sure that they also get in their own upkeep and all that. But I think moving forward, we're still in talks on how we can then make this movement a legal entity, making it a legal entity, how we're moving the systems in place, and obviously to get funding to continue with a lot of stuff that people feel are in need. And yeah, I think that's just been one of the greatest things that I've actually witnessed in a lot, you know. I think in our community, I've loved the united that we've all had. It was really a free space, and for me it was a bit worrying because we all young and most people that were coordinating are just youth, you know, and we were just learning and we also trying to find our way in life. But yeah, it's been really great. It's been really united, and just working through everything has been really amazing for me. Yeah, I think I'll stop there. Thank you.
Cora and Sabrina, I know some people have been answering on the chat. Can we just also add to the questions that you are going to be answering, because we are almost at 3 o'clock. How do you plan to sustain your gardens? I think there was a question before that one, if how many of the community kitchens are linked to food gardens, and then how do you plan to sustain your gardens and upscale to provide food security and income security to the households? Yeah, so Nicole is talking about the infographic poster that Frejon shared a few months ago. If it is possible to send that so that we can share it with people who may not have seen it, that would be really, really useful. Yes, thank you very much. So Cora, go ahead. You can answer all the questions so that we can have a minute for everyone to wrap up closer to 3 o'clock.
Hi, everyone. For me, when we were heading towards lockdown, I was lucky because Hanek was helping me. He's the one who connected me with the supermarkets. So now the number was increasing daily, because even those people who were working were locked down. So of which it wasn't easy. And the time I approached the councillor of our community, when I mentioned about this, about Checkers Things food, it wasn't easy for them to accept it first time, because they thought this lockdown was going to be like a short-term thing, then because of the groceries or whatever they were having. But as time goes on, and knowing that it was tough and tough and tough, now I went back again to the councillors and the community and said, look, this food which I'm getting from Checkers is not that it's poisonous, but it will make us live. Then they started to understand what I was doing, and they ended up like evening giving me some volunteers from their own communities to help me with the social distance. And it helped me a lot to comply with the rules of the government of the COVID-19, to do the social distance, of which now the community, even if I'm walking or driving, they know exactly that I've played a very big role in the community, and people, they are approaching me again with different ideas of how we can try to grow in our community. So I just say COVID-19 has taught us a very good lesson that people, we need to unite so that we put something on the table. Thank you.
Thank you, Sabrina.
To answer the question about the community leaders, we're always trying our best to involve everybody. I must say, when we did the deliveries, we wouldn't have been able to do so without the police. We did actually need police escorts to go through our community and deliver food, because it was really legit not safe, which also shows you how much need there was, which leads to the next thing. I think as long as there are people that are unemployed, and as long as we don't tackle the system, as long there will be a need for food for people. But with COVID-19 and especially the initial lockdown, I think was really just people were afraid. People did not know what can you or can you not do, and so the need for food was immense. Like people couldn't go to work, so even if they had previously had some piece jobs or whatever, that fell away. So there was really not an income. And how long did it take for grants to come out? Not even to mention how small these grants are. So still the need for capacitation of community members, the need of having those conversations about what can we do to reduce the money we need? What can we do to help ourselves? How about we all bring our talents together and see what we can do with that? Those talks were needed before, long time before, definitely. And I think the only difference now for me is that this opportunity. This was like a breaking point. We ran out of the big food donations, and we still will continue to give food to people like we've done it before. But now having this opportunity to say, guys, let's be realistic. This COVID is not gone, and people will still get sick, and it's far away from being over. But let's look at what we can do. Yeah, so I really think it was just an opportunity to try and change the conversation. Yeah.
Thank you, Sabrina. So I'm going to, because we're almost at 3 o'clock, just a couple of things. Brittany has typed into the chat box. If if any of the participants have suggestions and thoughts on what other topics around food you would like us to have, our next conversation will be in 2 weeks' time at the same time from 2 o'clock to 3 o'clock. Please put them into the chat box and we will see how we can structure the next engagement. And then also I would like to give like literally a minute just for each of the 3 speakers to wrap up and just any last words if you do have any. And thank you again for everybody for joining us today. Like we said, we will be here again in another 2 weeks to share experiences of what communities are doing with each other to really create a sustainable food system and to provide food for communities during this very, very difficult time of the pandemic. I will start this time with Cora and then Sabrina and then Nolu to close off. Just very short, very quickly. Thank you.
Hi guys, thank you so much for the work you are doing as well. And yes, and I would like to say be sick and sick again, because like, so please, let's not give up. It's still early for us to give up. Let's keep on doing what we are doing. Thank you.
Thank you, Cora. Sabrina?
Thank you for giving me the opportunity to share and inviting me into this space. It was very interesting.
Thank you, Sabrina. And then Nolu?
I would like to say thank you to everyone who listened and the people that were also presenters. It's great work that we're all doing. And yeah, let's keep moving.
So again, thank you, everybody. We will be back in 2 weeks. Please do share with us before we close out in the chat any other conversations around food that you would like us to bring again, and we will bring that to you in another 2 weeks. As we continue to do this work, we will also be sharing with everyone as we prepare for a national food assembly. And even for that, we will be consulting people who are part of these conversations on what the food assembly and how the food assembly should look like for the 2nd of October. So thank you yet again for joining us, and we will talk with everybody in 2 weeks' time. Because we had a break, we're going to have to do some work to fix the recording, but we will share it and it will be available, like we said in the beginning, on the C19 website. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Feel free to jump off. I've just left it open for anyone who wants to put anything into the chat box for another couple of minutes, and then we'll end the meeting. So there is a few minutes if people still want to share some ideas for further conversation, and we will share information on the food assembly for the 2nd of October.